Good day. Look at the crowd we're gathering today. Awesome. One by one, step by step. Today is Monday, April 22nd. I know that was a little crazy. I left it as the 21st in the title. I'll fix that after Mass. Yes, April 22nd. And so I wanted to tell you also that I tried the new centuries-old remedy of sulfur powder and molasses last night, and mixing 1 teaspoon of sulfur powder with 2 teaspoons of molasses, and mixing it together after a while, and it made this almost like a caramel type of a color, milky caramel. Anyway, very sweet, and I slept wonderful. The inflammation seemed to disappear. So I've got to look up to see how often that they recommend using it. I didn't see anything other than that it was good as a spring tonic or a spring cleansing or something like that. But in any case, that's what I did. I don't recommend anybody do anything other. I don't give advice. But if you copy what I do and you benefit from it, that's up to you. But anyway, that was good news. And now I just got to mix it in something that son Ben will like, because I think it's going to be good. All right. Enough with that. And by the way, you can get the medical sulfur powder online. It just has to be pure. And I'm learning it's tremendously important to so many aspects of the body. Really good to know. So we're going to continue on with the dark night of the soul and talk about today the beginning stages of the dark night. And we've practiced, like most of us have, meditation on a topic, if you will. Okay, you read a topic. It's like well, I don't want to use that as an example, but you picture an event in the life of Deism Christum, for example, or Dea Matronam Nostrae, and you contemplate on that, or you meditate on that. Okay, so that's a form of meditation where you're focusing on that. Wherein here, this is a little bit deeper, and we go on beyond that from meditation into contemplation, and then there's different types. So it explains how the body reacts to the difficulty or the sweetness, etc. So let's get right to morning prayers, and we'll get into the dark night of the soul, and we'll have Mass. Oh, by the way, I will always be the guinea pig. I trust Dea Matronam Nostrae to let me know when something is not good for me to test. In nomine Dei Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. It's funny, when we were younger, my brother always said to me, "You'd go first and let me know how it goes." And I must have had this big S over my head. And he was the older brother. I thought the older brother was supposed to test it for the younger. In any case, let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany and humbly adore Dea Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, the one family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O God, O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things, with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God, the Trinitarian Theophany, for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the Trinitarian Theophany the graces which are necessary to us. O Trinitarian Theophany, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because they offend thee, O most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Wherein is expounded the first line of the first song, and the explanation commenced of this dark night. And the first line, into the darkness of the night. This night whereby we mean contemplation produces in the soulfully minded two sorts of darkness or purgations, answering to the two parts of man, that is to say, the sensitive and the soulful. And thus the first night, or sensitive purgation, is that wherein the soul purges and strips herself naked of all things of sense, by conforming the senses to the soul. And the next is the soulful night, or purgation, wherein the soul purges and denudes herself of all mental activity, by conforming and disposing the intellect for the union of love with the Trinitarian Theophany. The sensitive is usual and happens to many, and it is of these beginners that we shall treat first. The soulful purgation is gone through by very few, and those only who have been proved and tried, and of these we shall treat afterwards. The first night or purgation is bitter and terrible to the sense. The second transcends all description, because it is exceeding fearsome for the soul. as we shall presently shew. And as the sensitive comes first in order and takes place first, we shall briefly say somewhat thereof, so that we may proceed more especially to treat of the soulful night, whereof very little has been said, either by word or mouth or writing, and moreover because the experience thereof is extremely rare. Now, since the method these beginners pursue on the journey towards the Trinitarian Theophany is slavish and bears a strong resemblance to their own desires and delights, as was above set forth, since Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum wills to lead them higher and deliver them from this base fashion of love to a loftier degree of love of the Trinitarian Theophany, and free them from the inadequate and mechanical exercise of the sense, the imagination, and mental activity, which go a groping after the Trinitarian Theophany in such a feeble sort and with so much difficulty, as we have said, and places them in the exercise of the soul, wherein they can communicate with the Trinitarian Theophany more abundantly and freer from imperfections. When at length they have practiced themselves for some time in the journey of virtue, it's very important. When they have practiced themselves for some time in the journey of virtue, persevering in meditation and prayer, wherein with the suavity and relish they have found, they have become detached from worldly things and acquired some soulful strength in the Trinitarian Theophany, so as to be able to curb the creature appetites and in some small degree suffer for Deum Iesum Christum some slight load and dryness, without turning back at the crucial moment, when to their thinking they are proceeding in these soulful exercises to their entire satisfaction and delight, and when the sun, sun of divine favors, seems to them to shine most radiantly upon them. The Trinitarian Theophany darkens all this light and shuts the door and fountain of sweet, soulful water, which they were wont to drink in the Trinitarian Theophany as often as long as they chose, since on account of their weakness and frailty, no door was shut to them. And thus he leaves them in darkness so profound that they know not whither to direct the sense of the imagination and speculations of the mind. For they cannot take a single step towards meditation as before they were wont, the interior sense being now submerged in this night, and made so barren that not only find they no substance and delight in the soulful matters and good practices wherein they were wont to rejoice and find relish, but on the contrary, in its place a nauseous savor and bitterness. For as I have said, as the Trinitarian Theophany knows them to have, at length, increased somewhat in growth, in order that they may acquire strength and escape from their swaddling clothes. The Trinitarian Theophany serves them their sweet breast, and putting them from their arms, teaches them to walk alone, the which to them is passing strange, as everything seems topsy-turvy. This, in the case of people secluded from the world, usually takes place sooner after they have begun than in that of others, inasmuch as they are freer from opportunities to turn back and more speedily reform their appetites for worldly things, which is what is absolutely necessary to enter into this happy night of sense. And as a rule, it is not long after they begin before they enter into this night of sense. And the greater number of them enter therein, for usually shall you see them fall into these drynesses. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Tomorrow will be of the signs wherein it may be perceived that the soulfully minded person has commenced his journey through this night and sensitive purgation. Okay, so we're going to talk about the signs. One thing I did want to mention, it's very important, like I mentioned earlier, the perseverance, which is a virtue during these times. And I do understand that those who have more, their state of life makes them busy, like mine, for instance, versus those who are more, I don't want to say alone, but their state is such that they have more time to themselves, will advance better, if you will, or quicker, like they mentioned, because of the lack of interferences. And again, it's up to them to whether or not they're going to allow those interferences to come, whether it's television or phones or whatnot. It really is about the mind and conquering your mind. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, oremus. O Trinitarian Theophany, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum Honcum Accalatam Hostium, quam ego ignius famulos tuos offeditibi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro inabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi edidis profigerat salutem. Deum qui humanis substantiae dignitatem medibiritu condidisset medibirus reformasi da nobis perihus acrevin mystium, eis divinitatis esse consortis quae meritatis nostrae, fieri dignatis es patriceps Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Oferimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum depacantis clementium, ut gesvetur divinae majestatis tuae, pro nostro ratotis mundi salute, cum adore suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipi amarate Deum Iesum Christum, et sec fiat sacrificium nostrum et vesvetutur horie, ut placia tibi Deum matronam nostre et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni Sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificite blota prosequendo, et ecce preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas, oblationum cum tibi eferimus, ab amorem passiones, resurrectionis et ascensiones Deum Iesum Christum. Et in honorem Deum matronam nostrae, et Papa Peter Sanctorum, et Istorum, et omnem Sanctorum, ut idis proficiedat honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere, et in intercedis, quorum honorem agimus in telis, pedinum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meum ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat opet Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum, sacrificium de manibus tuis, ad laudem et gloriam nominis sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostrum totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, sursum corda habemus ad Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Dei et dominamintissimi Mater et Pater, Dei Materam Nostre, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, Deum Nostre, supplicis rogamus ac petimus. Uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas, hic sanctam sacrificium ilibata. In primis qui tibi ferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare, custodire et honore, et regere, digneris toto urbi terrarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famorum Creaturum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Katie Gage, Mark Jr., Marie Josephina Mose, Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Casey, Ann Botink, Mr. Nobody, the Cantu and Duarte families, John Cahill, Maria and the Line Weber family, the Dasco, Naita, Four Began, and Wolf families, and Baby Began. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sedevacantist Catholic Council office at Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental sanctioning or allowance of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, medical abuse, forced medical practices, human trafficking of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy and a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange with no usury. We ask that the so-called red heifer sacrifice occurring soon be interfered with in any kind of spells or incantations or spirits are stopped immediately so that this does not happen and it does not harm. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of the Catholic society and with the strength of the Trinitarian Theophany at their side, have courage. We pray for all electrical devices that cause harm to be shut down, including CERN, all gateways and portals, and all those frequencies that interfere with God's design of the human body. We ask Deum Maternam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum to destroy the satanic document of Vatican law that is the Jewish Talmud. We ask you to destroy Rome and the Vatican and transfer the authority of the Catholic Church to Fatima, Portugal. We ask you to release the souls controlled by the demons Lilith and Asmodeus and send those demons back to hell. We also ask you to transfer and save the souls from under the dominion of any Jew or Freemason that gives support to Israel. And make those Jews and Freemasons who force these on their employees or their people or their country, make them fall to the worst part of hell. And we ask for forgiveness for ourselves and for others who are seeking the Trinitarian Theophany. All these things we ask for in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fidis, cognite est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi ferimus, vero qui tibi operunt hoc sacrificium laudis, pro se suis omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi credum vota sua, aeterno Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et momentum venerantes in primis gloriose semper Deum Maternam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum. et beatorum martyrium torum Papa Sancta Petri, et Sancta Lucia, et Sancta Jacinta, et Sancta Francisco, et Sancta Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum torum quorum meritis praetibus concedas, ut in omnibus protectionis tui monum et exilio periendum Christum nostrum. Quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratem acceptabilem quae feceti dignidis ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepit panem in sancta sacramentablis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit frede didique lumis sui dicenza cipit et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modum postquam ceremonia est accipiens et hunc preclaram calicem in sancta sacramentablis manus suas, item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Consecravit didique lumis sui dicenza cipite et bibite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, qui pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum. Hic ut est cum qui feceditis in memoria feceditis. Unde et memoris Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, tambe et passionis nec non et in fedis resurrectionis, sed et in celos glorios ascensionis. Offerimus preclare majestatitudi tuis donis sanctatis, supraque propitio axareno vulturis pitiedi digneris. Supplices teragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ibi hic peperi per manus tuum ut quod ex hoc autaris participatione sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem subsinimus, omni benedictione, omni sanctificatione, celestia gratia Dei per amor per in Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for Lila LaPlante, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum crescentibum locum refugere illucis et pacis ut doge est proclamar per in Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, consecratis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso. Est ibi Deum Patrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Dea matronam nostrae, materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quesumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ab omnibus malis, praeteritis praesentibus et futuris. Et intercedente beata gloriosa, semper Deum matronam nostrae. Cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in Deus nostris. Ut opi misericordiae Tui aduiti te peccato, simu semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Periendum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum, et semper vobiscum, equoque apote. Ecce ex Deo consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum. Fiat excipiendibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, equoque apote. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum amandibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tue semper in handa demandatis, et atenum quam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Peceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere presimo non mihi perveniat in judicium condemnationem, sed pro tui pietate prosit mihi ad totalmente metis corporis, et ad me delam percipiendam, qui vivis et regnas, cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestum accipiem, et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrae non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in tanta verba sabbaternam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in tanta verba sabbaternam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in tanta verba sabbaternam mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quaeritur mihi, calicem salutaris accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo, laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvos ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quodore samsimus Deum Iesum Christum piedemente capiamus et immunire temperae fit nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod somse sanguis quem potae veas viciobus meis et presta, ut in me non remediat scelera macula quem pura et sancta revegerat sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech thee, O Trinitarian Theophany, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, ite mis est, Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium servitutis mei e presta, ut sacrificium coroculis tuae majestatis eninus obtoli tibi set acceptabile, mihique et omnibus pro quibus idut obtoli sit miserante propitiabile, per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. O Trinitarian Theophany, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum, present here, in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. So I have no thoughts for today, at least right now. So please go and sanctify all those who you meet, and take care of yourself. And again, pray the Rosary to stop that needless heifer sacrifice that they're going to be doing to Satan, really, because that's what it's all about. And let's say a Rosary also to stop World War III, which we are currently succeeding at. And let's continue. And after that, we get to rebuild and have a Catholic monarchy in society. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You're welcome, Denise.